Hey everyone. After that purification, kind of letting go theme of the things that um, I love the phrasing it had on the card of dull and murky, kind of like, I don't really enjoy those. I get that vibe like, I don't really want to engage with that anymore. Reading that we just kind of went through, which really spoke to me, especially in this time of the beginning of the month and a full moon. um, I thought I might work with a practice that basically helps us to work with this on maybe a more mental level, which is the thing I think I struggle with the most. So it's one thing, and this speaks to me as well, to go through your physical environment and be like, okay, yeah, let's get rid of that. A little spring cleaning. It's a little early maybe for that, but you know what? Honestly, you can gauge that any time. Doesn't need to be the spring, and that's very helpful. I absolutely I get that. For me, what might be a little tougher is things that I find maybe a little bit triggering throughout the day or the last few days. And once I'm done engaging with that thing, it's still like cluttering my space. I'm still going over it, I'm ruminating on it, and I might have a really hard time letting go of that thought, and then all the emotions that kind of go around with that. So I wanted to share a practice with you guys that I have found really, really helpful with this. And I'm sure you might have heard of it before. It's known as emotional freedom technique or tapping. And when I first saw this, this was like over a decade ago. Interestingly enough, even it was actually at work, which is very interesting. Um, I would thought, wow, okay, that's interesting. I don't think I like that's really before I got into yoga and all this stuff on a deeper level. I just thought it was honestly the hokiest thing ever. I'm just going to be honest about what I thought. But with that said, like it was like over a decade later, and I found myself in a situation where I was really, really triggered about something and I kept ruminating over that thing. And I was just like, and I could observe that in myself. I knew it was happening, but I was having a really hard time breaking that pattern. And something came to me, some wisdom came to me around, remember that tapping thing, that emotional freedom technique thing? Give it a go now, right? And I did, and I just found it was like, for me anyways, very magical how it broke up that constant rumination that I was trapped that I was kind of in. So I thought it'd be really fitting to share it with you guys, considering the theme today of letting go and those things that aren't really helpful. We want to kind of let that go so we can, reclaim our attention, focus, awareness, energy, and spend it on things that we'd rather, that are more beneficial to us and others, right? So I'm definitely not like trained or certified in EFT or anything like that, but I just thought I'd share with you, like, this is what I do, and it helps me a lot. It's simple, the version that I use, and maybe you'll find it helpful as well. Okay. So for me, it'll be, I usually remember to do this in that time now, ever since that first incident where I found it so helpful. Um, when I'm ruminating or really like fired up about something and I'm having a really hard time with my mind not wanting to go to that thing all the time. So what I love about EFT is that that's the first step, is like bring to mind the thing that you'd like to let go of. So right now you might have something like really there. If not, like just kind of taking a few minutes, maybe take a breath or two to really like think, okay, is there something that I've been recently maybe a little triggered by, and it could also be physical things. Like it could be a pain in the body that you're like, oh, this is really kind of gnawing at me a little bit, right? Can I like maybe break my focus away from that? Um, for me, it's I usually use it for things that I'm ruminating on. I find it really helpful for that. So maybe take a minute, bring to mind something that you'd like to let go of. Okay. And I know this is a bit counterintuitive because we're like, usually, oh, I don't want to think about that thing. I think about something else. And that's great. But like, we're here because we're having trouble with that. Right. So that's one of the great things with EFT. You're not having to, when someone says, let go of that thing, I might be like, oh, that's, so how do I do that? So you don't have to do that to start. You bring it to mind. Okay. All right. And then now you have that thing in your mind, I'd like to give you, or like you to give it a rating from 0 to 10. 0 being like, it's not a problem at all. I got no issues with that. 10 being, oh my goodness, this is like a nightmare in my world right now and I cannot let it go. Okay. So give that thing a rating right now, a thing that you're wanting to let go of from 0 to 10. Okay. Great. And now take a deep breath all the way in your nose and out your mouth. Let yourself just settle in. And now bring your attention to that thing. Really focus on it. Okay. And so we're going to take our less dominant hand, just bring it up. We're going to take our dominant hand. It's going to be the one we do the tapping with. So up to you. I usually use the pointer and my middle finger for the tapping, but some people kind of use all the fingers. Up to you. Okay. And we're just going to tap. It's the outer edge with the little finger, what we call the karate chop point. Here we go. And you can say it out loud or quietly to yourself, the thing that's really bothering you. Okay. So this person, situation, whatever, is so upsetting to me right now, whatever that happens to be, right? This thing is stressing me out so much. So it's bringing it to mind. So we're kind of setting ourselves up here with our karate chop tapping. There we go. Okay. And now we move to, it's these points on the inside of the eyebrows. You can do just one side or both sides. I kind of like to do both sides on these ones. Okay, there we go. We're tapping about 5 to 7 times as we're saying out loud or thinking quietly to ourselves that thing that's really bothering us. Now, there's an option here to say the thing, this thing's really stressing me right out, but I still love and appreciate myself, or something positive at the end of that. Absolutely, that's an option. And then moving to the next point, which is on the outside of the eyebrow point there. There we go. Again, thinking of that thing that's stressing ourselves out and saying, we still love and appreciate ourselves, if that feels right to say. And then we move to our next point. So it's right on that cheekbone, right there. Okay. Keep that thing in mind. Say it to yourself. All right. And then we move to just the point just below our nose and above the lip, right there. Bring that thing to mind again. Say it to yourself or say it out loud. We still love and appreciate ourselves. Okay. And then we go underneath the lip. There's a little crease above the chin there, right there. Say that thing to yourself again. All right. And then there's a point just below the collarbone. There's like a little hollow spot kind of right there. That's the next point. And you can do it on both sides. I just want to mess up the mic, or you can just do it on the one side. Remember to say the thing that's stressing you out to yourself. You can end that sentence with, you still love and appreciate yourself. There we go. And then under the armpit, so it's kind of like maybe 2-3 inches just below the armpit, right there. Doesn't matter which side you're doing it on. Again, bring that stressful thing, triggering thing to mind. All right. And then the final point is just on top of the head. Say that thing to yourself. And the stressing you out. All right. You still love and appreciate yourself. And then we bring our hand back down. We're going to take a deep breath all the way in and all the way out. And I want you now to go to that mental scale from 0 to 10, thinking about the thing that was stressing you out, you're having a hard time with it. How would you rate that item now? Okay, 0 being not a problem, 10 being the biggest problem ever. Okay, so it might be the same. Don't worry if it's a little bit more than it was. Sometimes that happens at first because you weren't even really feeling the full effects of that thing. Now you got quiet and you are, or it might be less. So whatever it is fine. Okay. Usually I don't notice a shift until about 3 rounds or so. Okay. All right. And then we'll start again. So this time, usually I don't go back to the karate chop. I usually just go right back to the second point, which is the inside of that eyebrow. Okay. So bringing that thing to mind again. Outside of the eyebrow. I'm just stressing you out, but you still love and appreciate yourself. Okay, on the cheekbone. Still love and appreciate yourself. Okay, under the nose. Bring that thing to mind. Under the lip, bottom lip, above the chin. Under the collarbone. One side or both sides, up to you. Remember to focus, try and focus on that thing that's stressing you out. And then under the armpit, about 2-3 inches. Keeping your focus on that thing that's bugging you. And then top of the head. All right. And take that deep breath in your nose, out your mouth. Now focusing on that thing that was stressing you out, you're hoping to let go of. And give it a number again from 0 to 10. 0 being not a problem at all, 10 being the worst problem ever. Okay, I'm going to do one more full round together. So we're starting on that inner brow corner. Remembering to focus on that thing that's stressing you out. Still love and appreciate yourself. Outer corner of the eyebrow. Cheekbone. Thinking about that thing. Under the nose. Under the bottom lip. Think about that thing. Under the collarbone. Under the armpit. Thinking about that thing. Still love and appreciate ourselves. Top of the head. All right. And take a deep breath all the way in your nose and out your mouth. So bringing that thing to mind. And now, again, final rating for us, the 0 to 10 scale. Where would that thing fall? 0, not a problem. 10, major issue. Okay. So we just did 3 rounds together. So you might have noticed, for me, the thing I was thinking about, definitely, I feel a lot calmer when I think about that thing right now. And it's only been 3 rounds. So there's been, there's certain things where it's going to take more than 3 rounds. It might be more like 5 or 6 rounds. You might have to do it a few times throughout the day. But this technique for me has literally been life-changing for those things where you're just like really fired up about it and you know this is not where you want to spend your time or energy, but you just kind of can't help it. You're hooked. I find this emotional freedom technique really helpful to break that connection. There is quite a bit of science behind it that I've been looking into that looks at how it basically calms down that fight or flight zone in the brain, the amygdala. Kind of calms that down. And so you're able to kind of come back to that higher part of the brain that allows you to Did maybe not engage with that thought all the time because it's maybe not the most helpful for you. And I have definitely firsthand experience with how helpful it can be. So I hope you found it helpful today. And the great thing is, you can literally, like, even I find there's sometimes if I'm driving or whatever, and I may not want to do all the points, if I even do some of the points, it seems to be for me the tapping, even if I don't make up the perfect phrasing or whatever, which is something I might struggle with personally, the tapping seems to really do the trick. That really seems to be the most important part for me. And even if I tap just, a few points, when I'm driving, doesn't have to be the whole, thing, but even a few points does tend to kind of calm my brain down a little bit. For those times when you might get triggered in traffic, it might be a helpful little thing to try, to kind of calm that nervous system down and bring you back to that more centered place, when you're having a hard time letting those things that you want to let go of energetically and mentally. All right. So hopefully you found that helpful. And yeah, hopefully you have a really great start to this new month on this full moon day. So exciting. And we'll see you next time.